we're going to go straight into it.
Yeah.
The first ever segment of Good Scott,
Bad Scott.
Which way will he go? Yeah, we made that up. That was our jingle. It's a work in progress, but it is awesome.
I think Deefa could do something with it.
Good Scott, bad Scott. Which way will he go?
I love their head movement.
Yeah.
That works really well. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So in this week of Good Scott, Bad Scott, we're going to discuss his first week. So the first thing he did was refuse to go out of the Paris Accord, which is the big global warming agreement that Donald Trump has obviously got out of. So there's pretty much no reason for us to be in it at all. So I'm unsure why he just decided to stay in there. Maybe he wants to appease the leftists in the party. Who knows? What do you reckon?
Well, I find it really interesting that like one of the warnings against us leaving the Paris Accord is that there will be severe consequences for Australia in not fulfilling our commitments to these international bodies. It's like we need to get away from these globalist entities as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. Like we need to. The consequences are by remaining in the Paris Agreement and just pushing our power prices up for no good reason. I don't know why he was saying that. I think so. The EU's basically said if you want to trade with us, then you need to remain in it. But I don't think they'll say the same thing to the United States, who have pulled out of it. And I'm sure they won't say the same thing to India and China, who are in it but don't have to actually do anything about it.
It's bluff, isn't it? It's rubbish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They know that the Australian government has been very weak on our own interests over the last 20 years. So they know that our leaders will just fold very, very quickly under a little bit of pressure.
Like current ones, that's the worry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It kind of sums up the premise of this segment because Scott Morrison, he's the guy who stopped the boats. He voted against gay marriage. He's a committed Christian, but we don't really know which way he's going to go. He was Malcolm Turnbull's pick over Peter Dutton.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is why we got Good Scott, Good Scott, Bad Scott. So we'll talk about the Good Scott in a minute. But I mean, that's right. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know where the dice are going to fall. I feel like he could potentially be more to the Conservative side than Malcolm Turnbull already, which is at least a minor win, but I don't know if it's a big win. Yeah, it isn't. It isn't hard. He's taken and Turnbull was horrendous. Turnbull's already sniping from the sidelines. Did you see Turnbull's son's basically campaigning for the ALP in Wentworth?
Yeah,
which is a huge betrayal.
There've also been some rather suspicious leaks to the media already.
Yeah, that's right. It's like what a bitter and twisted man. He lost his power, and now he's gone and. He's getting his revenge by basically campaigning for the party that he originally wanted to join. Yeah.
It's like it's my work here is done.
He's just doing everything he can to ruin the Liberal Party, which would be maybe good because it could end up being rising a real right-wing party. I don't think One Nation's the answer, but maybe like the Qatar Australia Party, maybe a more nationalist version of the Liberal Democratic Party could rise up.
I'd like to see them join forces.
It could be interesting.
Qatar, Lib Dems, Conservatives.
And a proper pro-liberty, pro-Australian nationalist, a liberal nationalist party, like a libertarian or classical national. I don't know what they could call it, but it would be a right-wing party, a true right-wing party, right-wing as in the left-right divide of pure control versus pure liberty. So it could be a real right-wing party in that sense. But we should talk about the Good Scott. The Good Scott. Because we talked about the Bad Scott. Yeah, so we need to talk about the Good Scott. Okay. Otherwise, the jingle doesn't quite work.
Yeah, okay. So, this Good Scott side of things. I love this story because there are a few aspects to it.
Yeah.
First of all, it goes back to a tweet which was done by the CFMEU union boss, John Setka, on the weekend. He put up a tweet of his kids. We're just putting it up now.
Yeah. So we'll show you the tweet.
Yeah.
So we're just going to share this. I'm just going to share the screen, and this is the tweet here. So that's his kids, and he's getting his kids to say, go get effed. So real classy there, John. Good stuff, mate.
Yeah. So he's saying that to the was it the Australian Building and
ABC, the ABBCC, whatever.
Basically, the cop on the beat who are there to keep an eye on the unions. So the unions hate any kind of like oversight, because they're thugs and they're criminals and they're evil. So the first aspect of this is, I love the fact that just the left just cannot meme. Can we bring up that other meme? Like, yeah, if you're going to have a meme with kids, you cannot go past this one.
This is actually a really good. This is a great meme with kids.
Yeah, this one is dank. Like the CFMU one is just.
This is a meme. This is a kid's meme.
Left here.
At least I still have the Constitution.
That's magnificent. Yeah. So that's a meme. This thing that John Secker did, that's just rubbish. So what I love is that a storm was created over it. He was forced to take down the tweet, and he was forced to apologize. Magnificent. So I love the fact that the beast which the left have created is coming back to bite them on a regular basis now. It is just awesome.
Well, all it takes is for people with a little bit of influence to just hold them to account to their own standards.
Exactly, and that's what Scott Morrison has done. He's played from the Alinsky book in terms of like making the left hold to their own standards, because he's come out and said that basically he sort of sees it as where are we? It's one of the ugliest things that he's ever seen. And he's gone really, really hard, not just on John Setka, but on Bill Shorten. He said, if Bill Shorten is fair dinkum about anything, then he must cease all ties between the Labor Party and himself, and John Setka and the CFMEU out of decency, let alone anything else. He said this on radio to Alan Jones. And he's like, I mean, you're known by who you stand next to, and Bill Shorten's got his arms all around John Setka. And John Setka's got his arms all around Bill Shorten. I just love this, because the moment that any type of person on the right says anything that can be construed as even vaguely patriotic towards their country, the left say you're a Nazi, and every single person on the conservative side of politics has to disavow that person. So this is us turning the left's tactics against themselves and showing them up for the thugs and just the hypocrites that they are. And he's gone harder, like on the unions as well. Like he said, I mean, Bill Shorten is union bred, union fed, and union led, and that's how he will run Australia. Great little meme that he's putting out there.
And I love Bill Shorten's typical reaction, which was basically summed up as, what, me? What, me? He's turned around and said, well, Scott Morrison should stop focusing on what people are tweeting about and get on to lowering energy prices, you know, failing to mention that Bill Shorten isn't doing anything to help lowering energy prices. Bill Shorten won't build new power plants, real power plants. But it's just a classic deflection strategy from the left. It's like, what, me? What are you talking about? It's just Bill Shorten. His reaction is just typical Bill Shorten, typical, rather than answer the allegations, just try and spin off it. Just basically pretend that they don't actually mean anything, pretend that there's no substance behind them, even though you can see, Morrison's right. Bill Shorten is in bed with the union movement. The guy is union-led. He's union-bred. He's just a union thug. He's a union thug. He's red, and that's right. He's on the union left. He's up there with Sally the socialist, who is a real threat to this country. That woman is woman. I don't know if you could call that thing a woman, but yeah, she's a real threat to the country. And I liked how Scott Morrison has gone after him. But again, it's like, you know, someone mentioned in the chat that it was Tristan Jones has said Scott Morrison is an opportunistic chameleon. Yeah, that's, you know, you might be right, but this is the thing: we don't know what he's actually going to do yet. He is a committed Christian, which is a positive.
Going after unions is one of the few ways that the Liberal Party can distinguish themselves from the Labor Party.
But they could also distinguish themselves by getting rid of the Paris Accord and completely abandoning the global warming scam. If they went hard on the global warming scam and basically just said, we are not going to follow this rubbish, there's no proof that human CO2 emissions are damaging the climate whatsoever, they could well be helping the climate. I mean, and if they are warming the climate, that's probably a good thing. More CO2 means more food for plants. Warmer climate means more biodiversity, more life. Again, most plants grow better in warmth. Obviously, you don't want it to be boiling hot, but there's a long way to go to that. But if we lost a few degrees, that could be disastrous.
Yeah.
So they should really be going hard on things like the Paris Accord, which is why it's such a lost opportunity. He could be picking both fights, and he could win easily both of them.
Yes,
and it would distinguish them from the Labor Party to a T. They could just be like, we are the party of genuine power generation. We are the party that stands up against union thuggery. And then if they were the party, sorry,
we're for ordinary
Australians. And then all they have to do is say, we're going to cut immigration to nothing. Yeah. And guess what? All of a sudden they've got a winning platform. But it's like, it seems like they're almost going a little bit half-assed. They're going good Scott, bad Scott instead of just good Scott, which they probably.
That's a good way of putting it. Very good way of putting
it. Wonder if that's what his wife calls him. hey, when he takes out the rubbish, obviously. Don't know what you're thinking about, mate.
Yeah, he's neither way. She should speak more with more respect. Head of Australia. Yeah. So does that end the segment? Should we finish off with the song again?
With good Scott, bad Scott, which way will he go? I don't know. I like this segment.
Yeah.